What's up, and welcome to Nighttime at the Nerd Bar special Valentine's episode. Or Valentine's, that's the other fun discussion, because I know it's spelled one way, but we colloquially can say it the other way. Just saying.
We had Galentine's yesterday, so I'm done.
That's fair, yes.
And the superb owl.
Yes, superb owl.
The superb owl.
We'll be talking Demon Slayer, other cool random stuff we've been watching, reading, or consuming in some way of that nature, as well as talking about the Crunchyroll Awards. There we go.
Hashtag not sponsored.
Yes, not sponsored. But, we're excited to bring that all to you. Yes, I'm Carrie Lane. Super excited to be talking about this. Sending you love on this Valentine's Day. By yourself or with people, doesn't matter. We love you.
I'm Katie Cullen, and I don't have an extensive intro.
That's all right. We gotta keep it moving. Yay!
We got a lot to cover. We got 32 minutes of Demon Slayer. We have like 20 anime award categories, and we have fun things, including those. Those are all fun things.
Exactly. And we do have a live chat. So if you're watching in our live, join us in the live chat. We love having that participation. And if you're watching later, no worries, comment down below your thoughts on the stuff that we cover. We got Giga Derek.
Of course we do. Hey, buddy.
I'm home from my crap retail job. Valentine's is over. That's fair. But you know what? This is the best time to get all that discount stuff if you wanted any special Valentine's yummy stuff next day.
Tomorrow.
Yes. All right, let's start off real quick with things we're excited about and talk about the Crunchyroll Awards. So Crunchyroll Awards happened very recently. It was kind of one of those like, oh my gosh, it's already that time of year. It's like,
this is how you know that award season is coming down the pipeline. I think it was the Grammys that aren't actually having a ceremony this year. I don't know about everything else. I think the Oscars still are.
Good question.
I feel like they are. I feel like there's been some back and forth on who's going to host the Oscars this year. Because I saw someone say the Muppets need to host the Oscars, and I am 110% behind that. Why hasn't that happened yet? I know why it hasn't happened yet, because it's a logistical nightmare to retrofit a stage for that. But why hasn't it happened yet?
Yes.
Guys, this is doable.
So for the Crunchyroll Awards, I always think they're interesting because it's a nice way to either celebrate the shows you do like, or for me too, it's been, oh, I've heard of that show, or I haven't heard of that yet, because let's be honest, there's so much anime out there. So it's kind of nice to be like, oh, okay, cool. That's a popular one. Well, I like to see what's all the fuss about,
Really, I hesitate to say like, well, I don't put stock in them. It's more that they happen, and they happen outside of my periphery. And then I go, oh, the thing, which was my reaction when like, hey, we should cover the Crunchyroll Awards. What? Well, I know a few years back, it used to be just straight up and down audience voting. And I believe it was the backlash to Yuri on Ice doing a clean sweep of the awards the year that it was released, which, not maligning Yuri on Ice in any way, it's a fun anime. But I will also make the point that Mob Psycho 100 was up for art direction and did not win. And that's a sin. So there's something to be said for essentially a popularity contest. If you are doing an award show, maybe not that. And so, to my understanding, the Crunchyroll Anime Awards is now 50% audience vote and 50% industry insider vote. So it's a little more balanced, to my understanding.
Side note on award show, go watch Adam Ruins Everything award shows, because it often is popularity and money, but
go watch Adam Ruins Everything anyway. All of really good. It's amazing.
Yes. But speaking for Crunchyroll Awards, so I'm looking over the list here. That's where I'm like, even if something, regardless on if how good or not, if it's something popular, I always find it interesting just to at least watch the first few episodes of an anime. Like, for example, I couldn't quite get into Kill la Kill. Don't hate me if you love that show. But just the art style and the vibe wasn't quite my thing, and that's fine. I'm not going to say it's bad. I'm not going to say it's ugly, whatever. It's just one of those, it wasn't my cup of tea. So it's interesting to see what is popular, because then maybe, you know, you might be more inclined to go check it out, to be like, oh, a lot of people like this thing. Let's check it out. But those some things are pretty amazing there. You're like, yes, that was well deserved.
Yeah, I don't want to make the argument popular is bad, because that is patently untrue. Things get popular for a reason. Depending on what it is, the reason could change. So yeah, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, it's popular, so it's bad, because that's stupid. But I also do think that if the conversation is only what's popular, then you miss a lot of good things that are overtaken by the popular things. And again, I bring up Mob Psycho 100 should never have lost for art direction. And if you've watched Mob Psycho 100, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
We got Teng in the chat said Crunchyroll Awards is now 70 to 30 judges to audience now.
Okay.
That's fair. Because let's be honest, fans of anime, we can be very enthusiastic. So I can understand how it could be a tidal wave of, we love this show.
We can also be very territorial.
Okay. Yes, which is okay. It's okay to love it. But anyway, let's just look at a couple of big ones. I mean, the anime of the year, so that's like film of the year. We have Attack on Titan, the final season, part 1. I'm like, yep, that's a pretty incredible show.
That tracks.
Yep. I have Jujutsu Kaisen. I'm like, yes, I love that show. Is on there. Odd Taxi, I haven't seen, but I've been hearing cool stuff. I'm definitely curious to check it out.
I watch a lot of, I've mentioned him on the show before, that anime YouTuber Mother's Basement, and he loves Odd Taxi. Just evidently it is absolutely amazing.
Ranking of Kings, I've heard really great stuff. Everybody enjoys it. Same,
that's on my
haven't
list.
Gotten to it yet.
Yep.
Sunny Boy, I don't think I've heard much about. Also, if you love these shows and whatnot, please comment down below. And then 8686, I think I've seen some stuff for, but I'm also same of like, don't know too much about it. So that's cool of like, all right, these are new shows that I'd be curious to check out.
86 is an interesting one. I saw a rundown on it the other day. It looks interesting. It also doesn't look like something you sit down and watch if you want like a light romp in the park. It's not that kind of show.
Okay.
It's I don't want to say same vein as this current season of Attack on Titan, but some similar subject matter.
Well, we have Are We Surprised? Best Animation, Demon Slayer, the Mugen Train arc. I mean,
my god,
that's one of those that you're like, yep.
Like, no, that makes sense. That is both popular and good. That Venn diagram overlap is not a circle, but it does have a sizable area.
Yes. One of the ones I did want to comment that I was a little bit, wait, is that ending? I really kind of wanted Jujutsu Kaisen on there. Because I love Jujutsu Kaisen's ending theme song. I saw somebody who had a hoodie that had the characters in that design. I'm like, oh, that's such a good hoodie.
That's the fashion one, isn't it?
Yeah. And I was like, I just want the outfit. We got Teng in the chat says, Ranking of Kings is great. Has best top boy protagonist of all time. All right. I did see that for
awards agree.
Yes. Then also says A6 deeply heavy themes about war and oppression and things related to that.
So, like I said, similar to this season of Attack on Titan.
Side note on that one, not related, but I just saw some recent TikToks of it. Tanya Saga of Evil. I really love that show. I didn't think I'd love it, and I really got into it. If you haven't watched it all, just give it a little bit of time, because I'm like, oh my gosh. And it's just bizarre, and that one has some crazy heavy war themes. But also, if you're not really into war anime stuff, it might be too much for you.
Yeah, it's the reason that I haven't seen the back half of this season of Attack on Titan. Well, I've seen the first like 7 or 8 episodes. It's very intense, and it came about at the same time that I was also watching 2 other pieces of media that took a turn for the intense, and also we still are knee deep in the pandemic at the time, so something had to give, and it was Attack on Titan, because I was not about to drop Ruby or Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Well, now it's okay to wait because then you can just watch it all, and that's always nice. That you don't have to wait for the next episode.
I feel like that would hurt me. Just
binging. Oh yeah,
we
fair,
got
fair.
far enough in that season that I was just like, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
Again, nothing to do. No, not bagging on the season. This was a personal, like, I need something happier right now.
A couple other quick ones that I'm seeing here that I was like, oh, I'm glad they got nods to Beastars. Skate to the Infinity. If you want something lighthearted, Skate to the Infinity is just really fun. I like that there's a lot of best VA performances that if you go look on Crunchyroll's website, we have Japanese, English, Spanish, Castilian, French, Portuguese, German, and Russian, which I'm like,
here's the fun thing.
That's awesome.
Here's what I love about those. Partially because, again, I work in post-production, so occasionally on our file system, I'll open up a project and there will be 15 different languages in there. So I'm like, oh yes, this is how they're abbreviated. This is really cool. But the other thing is, going through those nominations for the non-English sections, there is so much variety there in the characters, in what's nominated. One of these, I think it's Russian, has a nomination for Galathymos from Premiere. Rather. When was the last time we were watching that? No, German.
Okay, I'm looking.
German also must have just gotten a dub for Gonkutsuo because one of their noms is for Gonkutsuo, which is nuts. That anime has been out for a while, but evidently they have a new dub of it in German, and that's one of the nominations. And if you haven't seen Gonkutsuo, watch it. It'll blow your mind, but you can only watch like 5 episodes at a time because the art style will start hurting your eyes after a while. It's absolutely beautiful, but it will mess you up.
Well, speaking of cool art style, I do highly recommend Premiere if you all haven't seen that. It's amazing. Soundtrack, so good
soundtrack is unbelievable, and it's Trigger, isn't it? Isn't Premiere Studio Trigger?
Yes.
Yeah,
it is. So also a quick note, Tengen says, yep, glad there are more international dubs for fans worldwide. Yes, that is awesome.
Oh yeah.
All right.
That is a growing industry. That is getting very big.
This is just a small sample of some of the winners. Go check out all the winners on Crunchyroll.com if you want to see who won. And if you're more and if you're just curious about other shows, it's a good way to see samples of what is out there.
And again, go digging in the, I don't hesitate to call them foreign language nominations because it's like, it's just not English. That doesn't mean, but yeah, go digging in all of the language nominations because there are some really great ones in there. It's nice to get a break.
Yeah.
To get some variety.
To see more options of what they're, because it's great when like some are getting so many nominations, but it's fun when there's other ones to be aware of as well.
Again, seeing Gonkutsuo in there was an option. And for someone trying to search that, it is a space future anime adaptation of The Count of Monte Cristo. And it is hilariously one of the more faithful adaptations of the novel. Despite being space future. It's wonderful.
And then also, speaking of things we're excited about, Yay! We got the next edition of Japan Crate, and it's all like ready for Valentine's.
Yay! That means you're gonna split it with me, right?
Yes. You'll be my galentine. I'm like, hey, I have things. So again, if you are new here and you have not heard of Japan Crate, welcome. First of all, welcome. And so this is Premium Crate that I'm showing off here. You get everything. And if you are more like, hey, I just want a sample, you can check out first the mini, and then there's original, and then premium. So there's just different sizes. Keep it for yourself or share. Or the other cool thing is keep it for yourself. Some of these are all individually packaged, so it makes it easier for keeping it longer. Just because it's Valentine's Day, and like, look at the Kit Kats. That's
is that a strawberry flavor?
Yes,
that's
strawberry.
Cute.
Wait, it's like reverse for me. Wait, that way.
Like strawberry milk. Yeah, strawberry milk is very cute. That's
strawberry milk Kit Kat. Why not show a little love this Valentine's Day with this whole bag from Japan exclusive strawberry milk Kit Kats? You've got 11 mini bars in this bag, so there's enough to love to go around, or show yourself some extra love and keep them to yourself. Yeah,
Just like,
I like it. You're like, it's all mine.
like, excuse you, these are my Kitkats.
I also was excited that this bag has lots of chips items. This idea, I love when it's potato. I really get excited when it's potato chips ones because they're just fun and crunchy. So we got some Ariel cheddar cheese, seaweed potato sticks. Don't worry, not too much more ASMR if you guys are like, whoa.
Oh, no.
This one's a cracker one. All right, and then one other cool thing that I want to show off too that's interesting in their crates when you get premium. Oh, that's okay. I'm gonna look up what this is. So this is a that way beverage, and that kind of looks like butter. Yes, butterscotch milk.
Okay,
Take a sip of this rich and smooth butterscotch milk. Heat it up or enjoy it cold and savor the sweet, aromatic butterscotch blended into milk. It'll make for a perfect date night treat for 2 or for 1.
Okay, that's what I'm stealing from you out of this box.
You're like, Sandra, give me that one.
I mean, I feel like that and a shot of honey whiskey would do it.
Ooh, I like your thinking there. And then there's gum. We get a little Pikachu. Look at that.
Aw.
Oh, hey, my nails match. That's cute. Chocolate. More chocolate.
Chocolate. Valentine's Day.
Well, it's also, a side note, if you're also new for them, they do less chocolate items in the summer because your items are going to melt. So they do chocolate items more in the winter time. So yes, here is a small sampling of the yummy goodness as I disappear. I'm like,
it's just like, here's the entire box.
A Japan crate.
Perfect.
Yay. So I'll just leave it there. So thank you very much, Japan crate. It's always fun to check those out and eat them yourself or share, which I do both.
Yeah.
There's certain items I'm like, no, it's mine. And then the other ones I share.
It's like, excuse you, these are my Kitkats. Them.
Yes. Kitkats make for a great thing to when you're meeting with people or family or visiting to be like, here's a Kit Kat. And it's just like portable and convenient. So
it's like, what kind of Kit Kat is this? Chocolate orange. They do make chocolate orange Kit Kats in the fall. It is incredible.
The other one I have too at home, I have pistachio, and what are some other? There's been so many good flavors ones.
Oh, you sent me the milk tea ones.
Yes,
those
I know you were excited for that. So I was like, hey,
very excited for that. Like, oh, opening a box from Carrie. It's the good stuff.
Of course, I always send the good stuff. Yeah. Well, that's something you're excited about. But Katie, is there anything else you're excited about before we get into the other thing we're excited about, which is Demon Slayer? But wanted to give you a moment on that.
No, I mean, we pretty much covered it. With, honestly, again, I go back to I'm excited to see Gankutsuo at the Crunchyroll Awards at all. Yeah, that anime is like, I watched that in college. It's 10 years old, and it's so beautiful.
Nostalgia for the win. Which, quick note on that, we will be getting ready to pick our new show that we're going to be covering. Leave a comment down below where we haven't fully decided yet if we want to go with something new or nostalgia, either something we have watched and the other hasn't, or, you know, there's so many shows, you know, you've thought about and you haven't gotten to watch yet. So leave a comment, let us know what you think. We'll also put that as a poll on the Fanversation Twitter. So go check that out so you can vote on that.
Might wind up being a series of polls between new or old. And then depending on what the outcome is, this or that.
Yeah, exactly.
Which, if you let me pick them, it'll be some weird, obscure stuff.
Hey, that's fine. Weird and obscure is fun. We dig that.
I was going to say, who out there has seen Scrapped Princess?
Because say I'm like, no. Some of them I have to see the picture because some names I'm like, I don't remember the name is. Well, just show me what the cover looks like.
That's fair. And if we do it, it will be Scrap Princess. It will not be Shamanic Princess. I lived through that once. That was enough.
Like, I'm dead. Yeah.
I had a friend in high school who had some really wild magical girl tastes. So it was
fair.
Well, seen some weird shit.
I know since y'all are excited to talk about Demon Slayer, thank you for sticking with us through the beginning of that, because we do like to cover other stuff as well besides our show, but we're talking about Demon Slayer now.
Yeah.
So that finale, I was watching it and there were some moments I'm like, Katie thought that, and then I was curious what she thought. So we get our tragic-ish backstory.
Damn it, Gabriel.
Well, one, how did you feel that we got a tragic backstory? Tragic. But I would argue we didn't really show them as good people before. Ume maybe was okay-ish, maybe, but he definitely wasn't. I mean, he had awful circumstances, but
that's it,
yes.
though. Every time we've gotten a tragic backstory from a demon, like bar none. Yeah. Every time we've had a tragic backstory, it was, boy, if someone had shown this human being a little compassion, maybe things wouldn't have been terrible for them, and we could have avoided this. So I appreciate a shonen show that's like, yeah, basic human compassion could have avoided so much of this. We had it here. We had it with the lower 4. We had it with, I keep remembering, the drum demon that used to be one of the lower 6 and then got kicked out.
I like him.
Basic human compassion from, in that case, his dad.
Yeah.
The only one that I don't remember is like, there have been some of the earlier ones where it's like, I know you had a tragic backstory. I don't quite remember it, but like, basic human compassion can prevent people from turning into monsters. Oh my God. Wow. Yeah. So that's not sarcastic. I love that as a thesis statement for this, but also just like, come on, guys. Come on.
I appreciate that
I'm dying.
I appreciate that we got history on them because it is interesting. I liked seeing like the world beyond, essentially. What's next for them? Because that's a good question. What happens to demons? Because they're dead-ish.
I think the implication is that it's some flavor of hell.
It was fire, so yes.
Walking into fire.
But it is also, depending on which lore you have of hell, it might not be exactly the same thing, though, because like Lucifer has a really cool definition of hell. If you haven't watched Lucifer, very creative. I like what they did with that.
It's more that I don't want to apply necessarily Christian symbolism onto especially something from Japan.
Yeah, that's why I was like,
Japan was not super into Christianity when it first happened, and you know what? That's fine, but also yikes. So yeah, I don't want to sit here and be like, that's the Christian hell. Like, no. I don't think they're going anywhere good, but I don't want to ascribe any religious symbolism to it there. Yeah.
Well, I mean, generally going into fire is not anybody's first choice, especially with that's how Daki mostly die. Yeah, or Umedaki. It's like, no. Actually, that'd be an interesting name, Umedaki.
What I do love about this. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I also like just the netherworld in between space too. That was kind of they almost had a choice of where do you want to go. And so that was interesting and redeeming of even if they were awful, they had a chance. And he understood the weight, I think, of his life. And he was going to go the dark path and to a more bad place. Or we assume.
But also, if you look at that, he was in that liminal space. He was still in there as a demon, whereas Ume was as she had looked as a human. And I wonder if that didn't also pertain to, one, the fact that he sees himself as a demon regardless because of how he was raised, because he saw himself that way, because other people saw him that way as well. And also because he was the one to make the choice, okay, we'll take the blood if it'll save her life and mine. We'll become demons. He was the one that pulled that trigger because Ume was pretty much gone.
She was that close. She was all fizzled out.
Yeah, let's go that way.
I was trying to think of any bad puns.
She was a little burned out.
Okay, so some interesting things we got from Tenga in the chat says lots of Japan is Buddhism, which follows reincarnation. So walking into the fire means their soul is going away, basically, while light means reincarnation. Fair. I could go with that too in terms of they're just done. They're tired. They're like, I don't need to come back again. And then also points out, Ume says it too, the episode title alludes to reincarnation of no matter how many times. So,
fair. I will say what I really appreciate about this, because I would have been fine with not elaborating on the tragic backstory.
I think it could have been a little shorter.
I had a couple of the
Slivet.
beats correct, but I didn't have the whole arc.
Yeah.
I'm still proud of me.
Yeah,
But
I was like, I totally was watching them all. Katie called it.
I think that I did not. I thought everyone got burned down in the house with the disease, like how they tried to prevent the Black Plague
Yeah,
from
that was
spreading.
interesting.
I was wrong.
Yeah.
I was wrong on that count. But I loved that we got it from Gyutaro's point of view, because Ume made it very, very clear that she was done with her humanity, that she was acting like she didn't remember being a human. None of this, just like, no, I've put that behind me. It's done. Although seeing what caused her, like the impetus for her being burned alive, yikes.
Yeah.
Was being treated like chattel and not knowing how to handle that, not being socialized for that, because her only socialization was her brother, who had to fight for everything and who taught her to fight as well. So we had that earlier comment from her about women are treated like chattel here. That's how it's always been. Well, yeah, they've been at this for probably a few generations, well over 100 years. So, and that is how she initially died, or would have died had they not met that demon. So that adds a lot more weight to that statement, and I love that. But I also love getting it from Gyutaro's point of view, because he's never forgotten. He's the one that carries the weight of that awful version of humanity and how they treated him and her and what they did to them. He is the one that continues to carry that with them this entire time, and who continues on his role that he had when he was a human as the protector of his younger sister. We got that in his conversation with Tanjiro. We got that in this backstory.
Yeah.
So having it from his point of view was, I think, the right way to do it. Well executed.
It was much more interesting to hear him tell the story, and I appreciated his attempt to let her have a better chance. Yeah. Like, don't follow me. And then she's like, nope, I'm sticking with you. And then I'm like, yeah, that's kind of cute. But
because that's all she's ever known.
Yeah.
God knows when her mom died, but you were named for the disease that killed our mother.
Yay!
Who did that?
Right.
It wasn't him. So who did that?
And I'm assuming there's no father around, so somebody.
Yeah, well, I mean, they made the comment that it was just outside the entertainment district, so I'm actually assuming two different fathers. And of course, they wouldn't stick around.
True.
Either which way, again, applying basic human compassion to the situation long term could have prevented this. But no. So yeah, I appreciate a show whose thesis statement is basic human compassion. I'm here for that. Let's go.
And then as you exit that moment of what they're doing in their afterlife, and Tanjiro going, I hope they were able to make up, and him trying to stop them from arguing was so cute and so precious. It's like, oh, he's like, stop it. And it's like, thank you. And they're like, stop being nice to us.
It's just like, you don't really mean that.
It's all
take a minute. These are your last words.
Yeah. So that was just kind of precious. Okay, also speaking of, actually, hold on. Before that, we have Master V87877. Do you think, welcome. Do you think that if Gyutaro had been present to save his sister, that they would have been able to live better lives as he wanted, or that the entertainment district would have corrupted them anyway?
I'm going to go with they were already corrupted.
Yes.
In so much as you would use that word. They were products of their environment and products of their upbringing. It is extremely difficult to get yourself out of a situation like that, especially with no outward help. I think the term we use now is the cycle of poverty. Like, if you don't have an outside helping hand in some capacity, it is very difficult to get out of that situation. And they made it very clear there is no outside helping hand. So even if they had survived, they would probably still have had to run. She stabbed a samurai. Like, her life is forfeit. Boy, yikes. Every other sentence just ends with yikes.
I'm
yikes
thinking,
on bikes.
Yeah. I'm thinking if he wasn't there, or if he had been there, that she wouldn't have been attacked that way, or wouldn't have been in the same situation. I think they probably could have, like, sold her to a entertainment district because they talked about how beautiful she was, how alluring and different looking. And we get his thought process of like, hey, if she had been born in a different family, if this or this, all the different options that could have happened. I think if she had been able to be a little bit older, then I'm pretty sure they were selling her already for activities. So I'm thinking that if she'd been able to be a little bit older, she probably could have gotten in one of those nice houses and actually probably her beauty could have gotten past that they were poor.
I'm going to argue that her beauty could not have gotten past her personality.
Yes, that's
you
true
can
too.
be a horror. We've seen you can be a complete horror terror when you have that power. But the fact that all she knew was fighting, and if she had previously attempted to stab a guy's eye out for what they would then be training her to do later on, like I don't think. Because that's how she was raised by Gyutaro, because that's all he knew. Like there's no, I don't think there would have been a way out of this without outside help. And I do not think a house would have provided the sort of outside help that they would have needed.
It probably,
this is why social structures are important.
Too far along for them that human kindness earlier on maybe could have set them on a different path. Tengen added the disease Ume was named after was syphilis, which was called the plum disease in Japan, and Ume means plum.
Oh, jeez.
And then Gyutaro black spots and sickly body is also attributed to sickle cell disease.
Yeah, syphilis is a nasty one, you guys. And it's an STD. So
yep.
It's just layers like onions.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. There's always the potential for talking about things in the entertainment district to be uncomfortable, to be difficult subject matter. I think they kind of backloaded it with this. Like this backstory is where all of that really sunk in.
Well, because they're very subtle. Like I'm pretty sure the samurai situation was supposed to be sex, but they don't say that outright. That I feel that if you were a slightly younger audience, that might be like, woo, you might not quite get it.
This is aimed for teenage boys. So if they're not,
even younger, then, like 12, but 16, 17. I'm hoping you're understanding what that is. But I appreciate the specific ambiguity. Like it's pretty obvious, but it's not literally said. So it's like. Yeah.
If you know what's happening, you know. But if you don't, it's a little easier for it to just kind of... It is a shonen anime. We don't necessarily expect a shonen anime to really get into the nitty-gritty of this sort of situation.
Yeah.
And so the fact that it's there and available for adults and people who do understand that to analyze, where it can also be... It's this is the toughest one to talk about just in terms of subject matter. So again, I think they kind of backloaded that a little bit. But your average, I want to say 14-year-old probably won't pick up on all of that.
Yeah.
Some, not all.
Yes. Master V adds also, speaking of outside help, what are your thoughts on the rainbow ID? Oh my gosh, I love those eyes. I want to know if he's
alive.
Yeah, I was too. I'm like, can we get more information on this person? Demon person that saved that pair. Yeah, so I was really curious on the character. I thought the eyes were so pretty, and it was such an interesting look. And it's like, is this a demon that's been replaced? Because we have not seen them yet. So
here's the thing. We did... I think it was actually during, I can't remember exactly when they did it. I thought it was during Mugen Train, but it might have been during one of the later episodes of season 1. We got a full set of silhouettes for the upper 6. We got them. We've seen silhouettes in the show. And I specifically remember like seeing it before the entertainment district arc happened and going, oh yeah, that's the kimono one. That's going to be, and recognizing Daki from that. So I would need to go back, dig up that silhouette shot and see if this person matches. Because this was the upper 6 demon at the time. So either they're dead
I'm
and
thinking
Gabriel
they've
and
been
company
replaced.
took their place, or someone else died, and when someone else dies, everyone moves up a step.
Yeah. There you go. For your research purposes.
Thank you. Thank
So
you.
it was
Thank you.
during
Thank you.
the
Thank you.
train
Thank you.
arc when that demon died and thought of the upper ranking demons. All right.
Because
so if
I
you wanna look.
remember when we first saw Upper 3, whose name I will never get correct and cannot currently remember, the fighty bastard who really had it really had it hot for Rengoku. Yeah, because I remember when we saw him and I went, oh god, he matches the silhouette. So it's like, it had to have been very quickly before that. And we had just finished watching season 1 before we went to go see
Akaza.
Akaza.
Thank you.
I'll never get it right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Derek. I will never get that right. Never. It's one of those things that will not stick in the brain meats. But I remember him showing up and me going, he matches the silhouette. We're in trouble.
Mm.
So, yeah,
rewinding a little bit, a thing that I was excited about that I was going to say, speaking of siblings, oh my goodness, when Nezuko showed up, I was like, fuck yeah. I'm like, yes, I'm so excited. Because I've been saying that too. I'm like, can we get Nezuko back? Like, she can't. We've had our sibling connections going for a while, and I'm like, girl, can't you be sitting there going, something feels wrong? And then it's like, no, she does show up. I'm like, thank you. And she did so well, and go her. So I think it's because her blood art, she has a blood art, and that's why it affects the other blood stuff. So I was like, cool. Yes.
Blood art is fire.
Yes. So best girl saving the day and the night. Yes. And Nezuko, the super healer. Yes.
Fire is a purification element. And I want you to imagine that my board back here is the Pepe Sylvia board, the one with all the red strings. I want you to imagine a conspiracy board back here, because I just put this together and I'm very proud of it. Over here, off camera, I'm great at this. Woo! Framing! We have sun breathing and the idea that it has potentially been passed down through Tanjiro's bloodline the same way that the earrings have been. Mm-hmm. And then over here, we have Nezuko's blood demon art being flame related and also a potential purification art and a lifesaver. So I'm going to go ahead and just tie a string from sun breathing being a bloodline thing to someone else in the bloodline having fire related powers for the forces of good. We're just going to connect those two dots right there. I'm going to leave it. I'm going to leave it. We're back to this really cute screen. But yes. I need you all to imagine the Pepe Sylvia, the Demon Slayer Pepe Sylvia board back here. I actually have a picture of myself in front of a Pepe Sylvia board, and I will have to post that because that happened at D&D
Live.
Please.
Yes.
But yes, that is my current little moment of, we knew her power was related to fire. Now we know she can use it for good. And we also have Tanjiro learning the... I'm so bad at names. Oh my god. Sun breathing, basically.
Rengoku.
No, the dance.
Oh yeah. The Kagura? Something?
Yeah. The Hinokami Kagura.
Yes.
That. We have that, which basically, again, the little red string over here, let's be real, it's sun breathing. That's why he can adapt and learn other things.
And rewinding, we saw she did on the train where she burned the strings to wake the boys up. Yes. Yeah. I also
fire
just loved
a purification element. I'm just in a pin right here. Let's go.
Uzui was like, what is going on? Oh my gosh. Also, side note, the wives freaking out was so funny. And the moment when the more naive wife dragged her away and her head turned, and that face, I lost it. I was laughing so hard. I was like, that it just looks so weird. She's like, oh my gosh.
What I love about this so much is that we started the episode with, okay, we didn't all completely McFreakin' die because of Nezuko. And then switched it to, all right, Zenitsu's awake. We have worse Zenitsu back, but I guess we had to. And Inosuke. I'm having a time. Yeah.
And all our boys crying together.
Just switching to Inosuke. And okay, I guess poison does affect you. Cool. Nice to know that some of that was just bravado. And we see the healing there. So at
Mm-hmm.
that point, this is a storytelling element where we have revealed to the audience that the demonic poison stakes are now 0 because we have someone who can effectively take care of it with a thought, which is why we can then turn to Uzui, who is dying of poison, and we get a comedy beat of this man is dying, let's play it for laughs. And we can do that because the audience knows that the stakes here are effectively 0 and that the show is not going to let him die when Nezuko is 50 feet away and they're going to go find him next. Like, they play it as comedy specifically because the audience now knows that the stakes are 0 and we really need to release some tension before we go into 32 minutes of traumatic backstory.
I will say fair, but I was getting a little bit worried. I'm like, yo, hurry up. Like, stop
I know,
waiting.
right? It's like, Nezuko's gonna do it. Nezuko's gonna do it. Where is she?
Yeah.
Where is she?
Hurry up. And her carrying Tanjiro, she ran around, was so precious. But yeah, the wives
so
beats was so funny.
Amazing.
So funny. I was
Absolutely
just like,
amazing.
Oh man.
Just so good.
Yeah, that's like
yeah.
crying of laughter.
It's just I have last words. Am I not gonna get to say them? It's just, again, this man is dying. We can play it for comedy because the audience knows he's gonna be fine.
Yeah.
The flip side of this is the head of the Hashira, who we can now see because we've seen it happen to other people. He is dying of demonic
I was thinking
poison.
that too. I'm like, yo, can we get to that too? Come on.
I'm gonna pin that over here.
Come on.
Because here's the thing. Can he be saved then? Because now we know that Nezuko can do this. Like, he's very far gone, and we've even seen that from the time skip in the time between Uzui being recruited and the present day. But now we know what it is, and now we know that there is a remedy out here. My question is that information going to make it to him? Is this going to make a difference?
I think it might come. It might come up, but I think it will be that he won't die, but I think the damage that's been happening in the meanwhile will still be a problem. Like, he's like, maybe the blindness and essentially TB of him coughing up blood, that I'm like, that might still be a problem, but at least we can get rid of the poison, but then maybe they could address the other problems that are going on. So maybe.
I wouldn't be surprised if
I feel that news would get there, though.
Like, we heal him and it gives him a little more time, but his days are still very much numbered because that is an extensive amount of damage done over years. So I find that interesting now that we have this piece on the board and the visual language has showed us that, yes, he has been poisoned by a demon and it's very slow acting. So this intrigues
the one he has,
me. I like it. I like that we get to see that long game. We've had so much short game that just that particular piece and seeing the long game and just how long this game has been, because this arc has been amazing at how long has this game. I'm going to talk about the timeline for a hot minute, if you don't mind.
I was going to say real quick, though, speaking of that, and like a slight pin off of it, he even comments that he's like, oh my gosh, we're finally going to change the tides. It's been 100 years and we haven't made any progress. We finally have done that. So speaking of a timeline, he's like, oh, changes. So yes, continue.
So this is kind of what I want to, because I spent some time doing some waterfowl alignment in terms of the timeline because I was a little confused by that. But the upper six have been the same for a century. We have this established. They've been that way for an while. Adaki and Gabriel, let's be real, that's always going to come to hand first. We're operating for well over a century. We know that because the upper six thing has been set in stone, and also because we had the anecdote from the woman who is head of house where Daki was working with, my grandmother saw you. Yes. My grandmother saw you. It's every once in a while someone will show up and use hime as a suffix and just be fucking insufferable. And that's you. You're not human. So we have generations as a timestamp for how long they'd been at work. And generations doesn't necessarily mean 30 years. The fun thing about life expectancy and
I was gonna say,
essentially pre-modern times is that they factor in all of the infant births. So that really acts as your life expectancy average when it turns out if you can survive past the age of like 4, you generally have a fairly good chance of living a solid life. Maybe not till you're 60, but a fairly solid life. So we have 100 years with the upper 6 being static. We have Daki and Gabriel being changed well before that because they would have needed time enough to climb. And also, this was an era where samurai were more of a thing and carrying swords was not outright illegal, whereas we know in the current era it is. How long ago? Because the other fun thing we got in here is the memories in Daki's blood of a sun breather, of an art that has been lost. How long ago was that? And how far up, and I'm going to, we're going to put
well, she was saying
here, how
it's
far
probably
up
her master's memories. Yes.
But how long ago in the timeline? How long
was that?
Muzan? Is Muzan his name?
Yes.
Thank you. I got one. How long has Muzan been at work? How long has he been doing this? Because, again, how long ago was that? Which one of Tanjiro's ancestors was that? How far down have the Hinokami Kagura and those earrings been passed? Like, we are working with a much more extended timeline than we ever would have thought of in season 1. So, yeah, this is the timeline portion of the Pepe Sylvia board. Over here we got the family stuff, and over here we got the timeline. I want you to imagine.
You're like, I have a theory. Hold on. Yeah.
I love how they, and again, it's just evidence of the long game for this show.
Yes.
I love how they give us this. It's so good. It's so hard to do, and it's so good.
Well, a prediction you also kind of had right there, Uzui going, I'm going to retire. I'm done.
Oh, yeah.
Which made sense. Okay, so side note on the abilities of this world. So we can't attach his hand, but we can reverse Spider Boy damage. But I'll be okay with it if we can reverse magical damage versus more real practical damage. So I'm like, all right, fine. We can't reattach a hand, but we can reverse spider magic.
Reattaching something that's been taken off is some wild surgery that involves reattachment. Again, and we're talking about modern medical stuff that, like, I would know.
The spider people were like completely, their body was gone.
They called it. They were able to revert. They were able to save Zenitsu. I don't know that they were able to save everyone who had turned entirely into a spider. They were able to save Zenitsu and I think 2 other people who were on their way to being turned. And that was described as the effects of poison and also the metric ton of physical therapy that Zenitsu had to do. So I will honestly buy figuring out a way to reverse specific types of demonic poison versus that would require some really intricate surgery that we just have not medically figured out.
It's like that fun parallel of like, cool, we can do crazy stuff here, but not that bit. I'm like, okay. Yeah. I mean, it goes with that idea of that's more practical world that it's like, okay, they can't change that. So that goes back to with our head of the Hashira, like him, I'm thinking they can reverse the demon damage via magic stuff, but the actual damage that's been happening might not be as fixed. So we'll see.
Yeah. And again, the damage that's been happening to him has been over, I'm going to say, at least a decade.
Yeah, definitely.
Whereas the damage to Zenitsu was over the course of several hours.
Yeah.
So I think it's had less time to set in. Where again, I don't think they were able to save all of the little spider people. Yeah. I think they were probably too far gone. Yeah, no, I was not here for that body horror, and yet it showed up. I was like, cool, great, thanks, awesome.
Well, Tengen said they saved the others were saved in the spider poison from the Shinobu treatment. So I'm like, I thought they were, but again, we'll go with that is more of a magical, it's demon stuff that, okay, fine, like, They
and
can.
also, she has a sword that poisons demons because she does not have the physical strength to behead them.
Yeah.
So I will buy someone who figured out a one-hit kill poison for demons to be able to also figure out other
How to
methods
fix their
of
poison. Mhm.
exactly.
Yeah.
She also probably here's also where things get a little weird. We saw this
Mm.
demonic poison, same visual shorthand for the poison that's affecting the master, which she hasn't fixed.
Mhm.
So I'm wondering if there are some things that because we also got the bit of, oh, the antidote isn't working. So I'm wondering if there's some things where she can't fix it, but
Mm.
Nezuko can.
Probably. And
I don't know how the science of this world works.
Yes. Oh, yes, I did like this too. Master V says, also, there's still the demon doctor that asked Tanjiro to collect blood from one of the episode 6. Our magic kitty. Yes, Tengen said. Yes, best kitty showed up. I was so excited. I'm like, oh yeah, it's been a while.
I jumped when that cat showed up. I was not expecting it. And then it was like, the cat!
And it's magic kitty.
Simple.
I said ghost kitty. I know it's not a ghost, but it was like, shoot, shoot, shoot. And yeah, that was cool.
It's like,
and Tanjiro's so excited.
Baby. It's a good baby. Oh, it's a cat. I'm very
with
simple.
its little backpack and everything.
Yeah.
So cute. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that. And then it happened and it's like, oh shoot, that's actually a really big deal. Wow.
Yeah, Tanjiro's so excited. He's like, oh, I was able to collect blood this time. There's so much, and it's still there. And it's like, oh, cool. Oh, yeah, that.
The puddle.
So speaking of the long game,
yeah,
because this is those pieces along the way.
Another piece of the long game, which I love. And again, bringing up the long game, fucking Snake Hashira. I don't
He's
like
rude.
Him. He's rude as hell. Keep fighting until you die. No, I don't think I will. I don't think I will. Like that is I have lost a hand and an eye. I'm gonna retire before I get murdered in a fight that I have no business being in.
Right.
Because like, could he handle normal demons? Yeah. If another upper came to town, he's done so.
Yeah.
So like they laid down the let's retire bit and was like, oh hey, we've met all those conditions. The sole condition being beating an upper 6 demon and also at least one person surviving. We've met those. Time to retire. And I really should have a green screen. I just keep doing this time.
It's into the like void that I can like. It's like right there.
Oh yeah.
Boop. But also his nod that Tanjiro is probably going to be the next Hashira. That he's like, no, there's somebody, but you hate him, and I kind of like excited that guy's like, oh, that kid. It's like, well, yes, I want him to prove I'm wrong. Yeah. And be like, and by the way, his sister, actually, I think that news is going to get back, and then they'll have even more. Well, you can't kill her because she gets rid of demon poison. And then they'll be like, well, fudge,
Like, no, we need that. She uses this power for good.
Yeah.
So, like, stop it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's all good things. All good things. Except for that guy.
So this is true of the Tengen said Snake Hashira did have a valid concern of the Hashira numbers dwindling since Rengoku died and Uzui is retiring. But we have the younger, I mean, they're not ready yet, but like that was the whole training thing that we have our 3 right now, and then there was a bunch that we haven't seen for a while.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh,
there's been a few. Mm-hmm. There's the supremely angry human. There's Butterfly. I don't know.
Oh yeah, our Butterfly girl. Yep, we haven't seen her in a while. Sorry, I was like,
we have our incredibly foul-tempered guy who we also haven't seen.
Yeah,
and
so there's
again,
a lot. There's a few, but they're just not there yet.
Maybe we'll also have a few more people passing the specific test in that region now that one demon that was eating everybody is super dead. Yeah. Like, you'd think every once in a while they would send a Hashira through their testing ground to make sure that there's nothing that they can't handle in there. Obviously, they didn't.
Well, okay. Master V says, to be fair, most of the Hashira made a bad first impression since they wanted to kill Nezuko. So maybe Snake Hashira will have his moment. Maybe.
Maybe.
Because
here's the thing.
They all did. Most of them made bad impressions about Tanjiro and Nezuko. They all were like, nope, we don't want you. Go away. And it's like, you didn't give them a chance?
If I'm remembering correctly, though, Snake in particular was just awful during those. I think it was Snake and one other that were just like,
the white hair one. The white hair one with the big scar.
Down.
The one with the scar. He had short, spiky white hair.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he was
the
like
one that was particularly terrible.
Yeah, he was super. He was the one ready to kill her and sneak up and kill him. Yeah.
I just completely cash dumped him, and I was happier for it. I forgot.
Oh yeah, him. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that guy.
That guy. Well, we'll see. We'll see. Was there anything else that we didn't cover for this finale that you want to address before we move on to stuff?
Oh, I do have a little bit of news that I saw once we're done with this.
Semi-related. Yes, we have seen the promotional art. It looks awesome. Super excited. And then, yes, we have confirmed there will be another season. Timeline on that, though, has not been confirmed, but it's one of those, it might be a year, but it's one of those with COVID. Who knows?
Yeah, you just kind of...
So, yeah, we'll see.
Do what you need to do. I trust Ufotable. I trust you guys to do this in a safe, sane, not messing up your animator's schedule. So, like, I'll wait for that.
It has one of your favorite ones that you were excited about.
And yours.
Who turned into a month. I was excited for Love, though, too.
Yeah.
I don't know if Love would be my favorite, but I was excited to see how... I don't know if I have a favorite yet.
We were, again, Mist is not my favorite. Mist is the one where I was like, excuse you, how did he go from
most excited of like
to Hashira in like 3 months?
Yes.
I need that info. And you wanted it because I saw that tweet and I was like, Carrie's going to love this. They're feeding us both next arc.
Yes. I think for both of them, we both are like, the fudge are you going to do with those? Like, we want to know. Yes.
Yeah. And then we'll get to know. But the one other thing I wanted to bring up was and this is just something I was laughing about because I'm sure this won't be the case.
Yeah.
But just how this episode ended, it really did look like Uzui and his wives were just leaving the kids there.
They're all bye guys.
Like, we're gonna go retire. Bye. Just leaving them to sit there and cry their emotions out in the rain. Yeah, do you really trust Snake Guy with anyone's well-being? No. And I'm sure that we will have a bit of wrap up in much the same way that after the end of Mugen Train, we had a little bit of wrap up. And again, and we're going to put this in the board over here. We got a character design for Uzui's brother, who is I believe their current head of clan. There is no way we're not seeing him in this show. None of the other siblings got a character design because, of course, they are all unfortunately dead. We saw him.
Yes.
So there's no way. There's no way they gave him a whole ass design and then decided not to use him.
Really?
We're going to see him.
Yeah.
And I think that we are going to see him in the first part of this next season in conjunction with the, hey, he's retired news. Like, I can see Family Matters coming back into this in the same way that not the exact same way they did for Rengoku, but similar fashion. We've kind of chilled with this Hashira story. Now we're going to deal with the family a little bit. Yeah. Like, there's no way we're not doing that. And again, we don't do manga spoilers here, so no manga spoilers. Yeah. But I'm just putting that pin in right there. We're seeing his brother.
I do agree. Tengen says the medical help people will show up. I'm like, I hope so. I hope so.
They better.
I guess the other little thing we didn't talk about, this kind of a big deal, Master V points out, well, also, since we caught Akaza summoned to the Infinity Castle, like the lower six, what do you think Muzak's reaction? I thought it was Muzan. I was looking down at a keyboard. I'm like, aren't those next to each other on the keyboard?
I think it's Muzan, and I also think that was autocorrect.
Yeah. What would the reaction be to losing an upper six? I think he's not going to be happy. I'm like,
already hates Tanjiro. And he knows that Tanjiro is an active piece in what's happening right now. And he knows that Tanjiro's not dead yet.
And he knows that, and he also hates Nezuko. He's like, there's this one that got out of my reach, and he's not,
so there's The boss is
No,
mad.
it's not going to be good. Yes, he's going to be very mad.
And we've already seen him take things out on Akaza before, so.
Yeah. It's like,
So that's
Akaza, just
going
leave.
really well.
Leave.
And also,
Yeah.
we're getting him specifically because we've had that character design revealed, which is why he's talking to number 3. I sincerely think that this is an above. In tabletop, they call it above table when you're talking out of character to talk about things. I really think that this was an above table consideration where what we've seen, where this specific narrative decision is to service suspense and the audience. We've already seen this guy, so we're not going to show anything else in all of these other reveals. We're just going to stick with this guy, and we're going to stay with the silhouettes and stay with the surprise so nobody knows what's going on. And we may or may not have a matching silhouette for the upper 6 in the flashback. I haven't compared the butts yet. We haven't figured this out. But yeah, so I really do think that him specifically being there is because he's the one that the audience has already seen. That's the reason he's getting screen time over any of the other ones, because we're not going to reveal them.
Yeah, I think that's
in much the same way we revealed the rest of the lower 6 and then murdered almost all of them and then made it very clear that the sole survivor was going to be the villain of the next arc, and my brain was going to be a train. So like, okay. I will never get over the dude who wanted to be a train.
No.
Just like,
no.
Does he have a name? No, he's a train.
Train. Yeah.
Who cares? Train.
All right. Well, that wraps up
week, guys.
Demon Slayer Entertainment District arc. Let us know your thoughts on the season finale. Only the anime, no manga spoilers.
Yeah.
Thank you. Comment down below your thoughts on it. If there was anything else that happened in the season finale that you really liked or didn't like and that we maybe didn't get to, comment that as well. So now we'll talk about some other stuff you should check out. And one of that, again, be checking out Fanversation's Twitter page or our pages, which we'll get our usernames again at the end. We'll be sharing do you guys want a nostalgic show? New show, what kind of that vibe? And then also you can reply to that, any suggestions too. We may not take those suggestions, but love hearing suggestions of stuff out there because maybe it's something we haven't heard of and we're like, oh yeah, that sounds great. So
we retain the power of veto.
Yeah.
And if you suggest Arjuna to me, you're getting blocked. That is the single worst anime I've seen in my entire life.
The one where it's like the environmentalist one? Oh, no.
It's really bad, you guys.
No, it is not. Really nope.
It was awful.
No.
It is the single worst anime I have ever seen.
Rewind. Tengen says, entertainment arc was great. Unfoldable, making top tier adaptation. Yes.
It is known.
I will give a shout out to Arjuna that it is not your typical anime. It is not your typical anime. It's way more like art housey vibe. It's very heady and it's very environmentalist, almost preaching about it. Like it's
it is abhorrently preachy.
It's very intense about the environment and protection of it, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but I feel that could be a turnoff for some people, and I think it's more obscure. I've actually cosplayed the character from that, so I'm like, no, I like it, and but you know what? It's fine. There's so many animes.
I'm glad you like it. It continues to be the single worst anime I've ever seen.
What would you say? What did you not like?
Oh my god!
You're like, let me count the ways. Well, what are a couple things that come to mind right away that just didn't do it for you?
A scene that I'm not going to talk about on air because it would require so much more context that I'm willing to. That's a deep dive for never. It is abhorrently preachy.
Okay.
Like I understand. I am here for an environmental message. I understand an environmental message. Jurassic Park does a better environmental message than Arjuna does. And oh god, that ending. Okay. Like it is. If so A24 made an anime, it would be Arjuna. It's certainly
so story and message and delivery of message. Okay, that's fair.
which is kind of the backbone of things. I am not going to argue with you on the animation. It is very beautifully animated. It's got some
It's a
great
cool
stuff in
style.
there. Oh yeah. No, it's a
But
great style. It has some interesting things to say, but oh god, the bludgeon later on and some bits of again, we will talk after camera because it's not like it's a really bad scene. It's like, no, there's just stuff in there that I don't feel like rabbit holing to give context for people who haven't seen Arjuna. So you can watch it if you want. I will not be accepting it as a suggestion to watch again because no, I did that once and that was enough.
Giga Derek said, "You mean the worst? You mean freezing?" So I don't understand if is freezing the name of a show.
You lost me on that one.
Yeah, I'm a little curious on that one. Yeah, and then Tengen says citrus.
I'm assuming these are names of anime
I
have not watched because I don't know.
Okay. We're not going to continue to bash things se.
We're not.
We're going to go into what are some things, though, you've watched or played or whatever, Katie, that you would like to recommend to people.
I'm going to bring it back around to Gonkatsuo because Gonkatsuo is amazing. And for those wondering about the art style hurting your eyes, it does that. I've only ever seen one other production do it, and that production is Chowder. So completely different. But it does that thing where every layer is a texture. And if a character is moving, it's not like the pattern on the shirt is stationary. It would be like, if I move to the left, it would just, it's hard to describe, but it's more like a window moving over a pattern as opposed to the pattern being on something and moving with it. And the thing is, Gonkatsuo does that for everything. Tapestries, someone will be wearing a 3-piece suit with a cravat and it'll be 3 different patterns in there. So and so much of it is just gold or very bright colors. So it is absolutely breathtakingly beautiful and a cosplayer's nightmare because it is so breathtakingly beautiful and well executed. And I think we managed 5 episodes at a stretch during the latest rewatch until we had to go, okay, that's a lot. My eyes are tired. So absolutely beautiful art style, very well written, kind of a slow burn. There are some episodes where it's like, how was that 22 minutes? So much happened. And there are some episodes where, how did we hit the end already? Nothing happened, just people talking. So give it 5 episodes. Stick with it. It's kind of a buck wild start, and it's absolutely a buck wild end. But the long game is beautiful. And again, it's an adaptation of The Count of Monte Cristo. And if you've ever read that, you know what you're in for. So, Gonkatsuo, it's not for everyone, but it's lovely. And the other thing I want to talk about.
Yes, you've been tweeting about it.
Yes. So I talked about the glare from my ring light is just awful. So I talked about reading this. It is The Last Sun. It's the first book of the tarot sequence by K.D. Edwards. I was live tweeting it for a little bit, and I know last week or 2 weeks ago I talked about reading the first 50 pages, not being super impressed because I read them at 2 a.m. and I was certainly in a headspace. It took about 150 pages, which is about a third of the novel for me to really get into it. And that's when I stopped live tweeting it, because then I read the rest of that book and the second one in 3 days. Which is a lot when I work 8 hours a day and have a social life. It's been a long time.
So you liked it.
I like it. It's been a long time since a series basically grabbed me by the face and said, "You're mine now." And yeah, this definitely did it. I will say, just warning up top, if sexual violence is a trigger for you, you don't want to read these. Because it is part of a character's backstory, and they do not shy away from the fact that it was very traumatic and that he is still very much dealing with that trauma. So if that's an issue, these are not the books for you, because it is very much intertwined with the fabric of this character and has shaped his life. So yeah, that's the content warning up top. Also, violence content warning, because it's an action adventure urban fantasy, and they do tend to get violent, and I'm here for this. If you enjoyed the Dresden Files, if you enjoyed Iron Druid, give this a shot. It is a lot of fun. very much one of those, I'm going to be yelling at this protagonist a lot because he does dumb things, isn't it? But not in a way that makes you want to throw the book across the room. The side characters, the other characters they introduce are wonderful. There is a great found family element to this, especially when you start getting into the second book. The third one doesn't come out until May 17th, so happy birthday to me. That drops on my birthday, and I'm going to be trundling to my nearest local bookstore and being like, I need this now. Let me pre-order it so it will be in my hot little hands day of. So yeah, highly recommend. Tarot Sequence by Katie Edwards. Check it out. Good shit. Just good shit.
And that's so cool. It times out to release on your birthday.
Yeah, it was absolutely arbitrary, but I'm here for it.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't know. His publisher didn't know, but it works for me. It's a birthday gift for Katie.
Yeah. Tengen says that they've watched more of Vox Machina, and holy hell, it got dark. Like, wow, those first couple episodes are light, but switches up fast. Good to know. I haven't watched more, but I'm pretty sure you mentioned that before, Katie. So
I need you to finish it. I need you to finish what's out. The last few episodes drop this week.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's
all right.
They have 2 seasons not ready to go, but 2 seasons confirmed. And so this arc the end of this season should be wrapping up this arc, just kind of mapping what we've seen in the arc to the campaign. And then the next season should be the spoiler. And that'll be, for those who have watched the campaign and know what the spoiler entails, boy, I hope they give it 24 episodes. I don't think 12 is going to be enough for that. So we'll see. But yes, it is very... It's dark. It's violent. It's not always the easiest thing to get through, and there is some really rough stuff because this is the arc where we are neck deep and sinking in Percy's backstory, in which a couple of awful, awful human beings murdered his entire family and then took over this particular city, and also they're necromancers, and it's a complete nightmare. It's it's living in Silent Hill.
Oh, okay.
Except it's someone else's nightmare, and you got to put up with it. It's zombies. It's a no hope. It's
and that's this season or next? Oh, okay, cool.
Oh, I'm not going to go spoil next season. Are you kidding me?
No, it's fine.
If y'all want to know what happens next, you can watch the campaign. It's all there and ready for you, and it's great, and it made me cry so many times.
Yeah. Well, I'm planning to. I just hadn't gotten to it. So, no, the ones I watched. So, shows. I finally did finish Cowboy Bebop, the live action, and I still stand behind it that it is a good show. Is it different from the anime? Yes, absolutely. They made a lot of different choices, which I will still stand behind that most people, I think, that are upset about the changes are remembering Cowboy Bebop with the rose-colored glasses of nostalgia, because I watched the animated show literally just days, weeks, like right before, like just powered through the whole animated show, and I wanted to watch it before watching the live action, so it was fresh in my mind of like, oh wait, this is this episode, this is that episode, oh they changed it this way because I had just watched it right before. Some of the changes I thought were maybe for the better, or it was more context, because the anime is really random at times. Like there's characters that pop up, you don't know why they're there, you don't get a backstory on them, and it's fine because that happens in anime. Yeah, we're here now. Okay. And I liked how in the live action they give some backstory to some of that stuff, so that was cool. Some of it they maybe don't really embrace the full over the topness of anime, or they kind of do, and that might be too much for people if they don't watch anime. Like they'll be really zany and close to camera, which happens in an anime, and we're totally used to that. But if you don't watch an anime, seeing it with a human being is like, back up. Like, whoa, this is too much. Which happens at the end. Like there's something at the very, very end, if you watch it, where somebody's very close to camera that I'm like, this is very weird watching with a human being. But yeah, so I did enjoy it. It was cool. What else did I watch? I started The Woman in the Window across the house, that long one. I think you mentioned it last week, or had you said it?
I don't think so.
So it's Kirsten Bell, and it's like the woman in the house across from the woman. It's like a long title. It's on Netflix. It's Kirsten Bell, and it's kind of more spoopy horror and like satire of like true crimey stuff. And it's okay. It's very quirky. I don't know yet. I've only seen 2 episodes, so I'm gonna give it a little more time because I'm like I don't know where this is going yet. But I had friends really like it, so it's interesting. Enough that I'm curious to see more. I started Sex Education, which that came out a while ago, but I never got around to it. Oh my gosh, super funny, but that is very rated R, and like it's nudity and sex right away. I mean, you should get that from the title, but I didn't know how much nudity and sex you would get like literally in the first few minutes. I'm like, oh, maybe don't watch that. Maybe watch this when nobody's around or something like that. You know, you're like, people.
Credit sequence, and then
yeah. It's very funny, though. I think it's great in terms of communication about your life and being able to express how you're feeling and sex and stuff like that. Because too many people like communication is important. And I like how they approach it in the show, that communication is very important of anything. They also have Gillian Anderson as like an older mom, like not old, but you know, like a mom, and she has multiple sexual partners, and it's like an older woman having sex. And I'm like, this is amazing, because we don't get that kind of representation much. So I'm like, and if you're not into sex, that's totally fine. It's more just there's so many options out there, and you should never feel limited. So I like that the show approaches all that in a very humorous and educational way. So that's on Netflix, and it was out a while ago. Then it's one of those that we're all getting around to shows. I feel that's the other thing. We're all getting around to shows that we've been putting off for a while, which is great because it's like, you know what, that's been on my queue for a while, so I'm going to check it out. So anyway, a lot of the random things that we've checked out. Thank you for checking out our show and joining us and watching everything. Oh, sorry, real quick before that. Yay! Carrie, you're literally one of the 2 people I know who didn't rage at the Cowboy Bebop live action series. As a fan of the anime, I thought it was different, but had room for improvement if they had a season 2. Fair. I would never say it's perfect, but the way people hated on it, I'm like, and similar to what we've talked about in this show, it's better when you can be specific about the things you don't like. If you just like, it's bad. That's why I kept poking at Katie of like, well, what is it you don't like? Because too many people, after working at a video store and a movie theater, too many people are like, I hate it. I'm like, why? What do you not like? Because that pinpoints down to something that either it's just you're not your aesthetic, it's not something, you know, art is subjective. It's okay if you don't like it, but you should know why you don't like it. But also random thing, which is also a polarizing show for some people. Sword Art Online, Alicization, War of Wonderworld is on Netflix, so you can go check that out. Yeah, if you're an SAO fan, which that I understand for some people is not as much because also it's been going on for a very long time. So if you haven't been up to date, I understand. Which also quick self plug on that, go check out my YouTube page. I have coverage of all of the Sword Art series back end, the Alicization arcs with voice actors on every single episode. So go check that out on my YouTube page. So my self plug, which speaking of, get to our plugs. Yay!
Hey!
So again, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive of the finale. Super exciting to talk about Demon Slayer. I'm sad it's over, but excited. We'll be talking about a new show. Comment down below. We've covered a lot of things that you can comment on. Give the video a thumbs up. Click the subscribe button. And Katie, where can people find you online and anything else you want to promote?
You can follow me all over the social medias as well as on YouTube and Twitch at Kiaxet. That is Kiaxet. That's over here. Still trying to do some work on the YouTube channel, but life will be life. Yeah, I'm mostly life needs things to live.
Yes.
Yeah, mostly just on Twitter at this point. That's the most active thing. And if you are going to be at Gallifrey 1 in Los Angeles this weekend, I'll be there. Come check out the charity auction. That's where I'm going to be spending pretty much all of my time. But yeah, it's a good time. It's a good convention.
Nice. And you'll have to tell us about it next week.
I will have just come home from it next week.
Yeah, you'll be like,
we sit down to record.
What?
Be like, how was your weekend? I'm here. I love Galley though. It's a really good time.
Yeah. And I was going to say you love being here too. So
Of course.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, excuse me. And there we go, this way. And you all can find me online at Carrie D Lane. That's KARIDLANE. You could go on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Was my last TikTok. There's some also random clips of anime stuff, random travel and dancey. It's all over the place, as well as my Instagram and Twitter. So I feel if you watch the show, you would get the idea that we're a little all over the place on things, which is great. Cover all the things. Yes.
Yes.
And again, I was going to say thank you again to Japan Crate. So go check them out. Woo!
You okay?
Yes, I just bumped as I swiveled, I bumped my chair. It's always unpredictable on this show too. Yes, yes.
We have our own little studios, and sometimes they have fun things.
Yes. Well, again, thank you everybody for joining us. Happy Valentine's Day. There we go.
Happy 50% off chocolate day tomorrow.
Yes, go check that out if you want some chocolate and goodies for yourself. Treat yourself.
Yeah.
And we'll see you all next week. See ya. Bye.